Fallout 4 settlement building is usually all about sprawling creative builds that take days to complete. While my own stock footage isn't as impressive as other builders, I do like a challenge and to think outside of the box. So, while doing a rewatch of Jabo's fantastic Fallout 4 Tileman Series, I was struck with some video inspiration. Could I build a fully functional settlement within the confines of one tile? Looking at Jabo's videos, a tile seems to be using the standard floor asset, so that small box is all I've got to work with for a single floor. But as long as I'm only placing settlement items within that tile, I should be able to build this thing as high as the game will let me. With my research hat on, I looked for the settlement with the biggest height limit. Sanctuary was thrown off the list after I found it had a disappointing 6-story height limit. I thought Starlight Drive-In would be ideal with its screen and projector room, but it only has a 9-story height limit. But finally, I stumbled across a post about Abernathy Farm and its 20-story height limit, and I'll tell you now, I got some tingles. This was the place to build. Before building, I have to get some of the standard Fallout 4 prerequisites done to save myself a headache later. So let's sprint to the vault without our wife, pretend the murder kidnapping was just a dream, escape the vault while looting anything in sight, and then contemplate leaving Preston in Concord because I'm sick to death of helping out his settlements. But I need the XP for some of the perks in this build, so off to Concord to kill a bunch of raiders. Spend time admiring my fantastic moustache, before grabbing some power armor and raining down destruction on more poor souls. With Preston and the gang safe in Sanctuary, I need to do another favour for Blake Abernathy at the farm so I can build there. Just a simple task of getting his daughter's locket back from even more bloodthirsty raiders, so it's off to the satellite station on another quest. With the locker collected and returned to its owner, I can finally get to building this one-tile settlement. Well, that is after I've leveled Sanctuary for all of its building materials. Why do I always do this to myself? If you want to get creative in Fallout just like me, but don't want to suffer through all of the pre-build tasks, like repeatedly clicking a button to level an entire settlement for over an hour, yep, that's how long all of that took me, then I might have the perfect solution for you. Let me introduce Wand. Wand is a desktop app with easy to use tools that removes any obstacle to having fun in over 3,500 single player PC games. Like my favourites, Fallout 4, Oblivion Remastered, and of course Skyrim. You can customise your experience with Wand, removing the stress of searching and inputting those pesky console commands, and enabling the features you want to make your experience better. Take Fallout 4 building as an example. Just press Alt and W together to open Wand's in-game overlay and enable assists instantly. You can gain the ability to fly, letting you get to those hard to reach places, get rid of carry weight so you can hold all of the junk you can get your hands on for building materials, and even give yourself unlimited health, which would be great for someone like me who always forgets fall damage exists. And why not get unlimited caps so you can buy anything you need for your settlement builds without the stress. So to avoid being like me and spending your weekend getting cramp in your thumbs from levelling those poor NPC settlements, why don't you download Wand right now for free? You can use my link wand.gg/ValePlaysGames or click in the description below and start enjoying your games your way. So, after even more demolition of Sanctuary and a long over-encumbered walk to Abernathy Farm with supplies, I can start this project. I placed down my tile outline, got some walls up to complete the first floor, and then encountered my first problem. How do I get up to the next level? And let me tell you, thinking of a solution took my peanut brain far too long. But eventually I settled on having stairs on the outside of the tile with scaffolding floor around each upper floor. And before you say that I've cheated on this challenge, well, you're wrong. The stairs and scaffold are needed for me and NPCs to walk on the settlement, and nothing the settlement needs to function will be built on the outside of the tile on each floor, so delete that comment. And despite Fallout 4's janky settlement grid system, I did manage to, after much pain and a couple of tantrums, get into the groove and start stacking those floors on top of each other. And after literally spending 4 hours of my life painstakingly building, this is what I have. A magnificent structure towering into the sky. I could have gone higher, but after 20 floors, I wanted to throw myself off into the farm below. So with the shell complete, we need the settlement necessities so this can be fully functional, and we can start attracting the settlers in. We'll need food, water, power, defence, and beds for the settlers, along with some fun activities for happiness. So let's begin with some defence, and what better than a ground floor security room for any potential settlers to be interviewed in. With the room complete, I remember I need to wire the entire building with power, so spend another hour finding the annoyingly hard to find sweet spot on each floor for a conduit to be placed. Name the settlement tile tower with some fancy neon lights, and then accidentally delete the door on this floor and realise I can't fix it, so act like it was never there in the first place. And the result is an open plan security office for interviewing people crazy enough to live here. I decided the second floor will be a bar to increase happiness. Why the second floor, you ask? Well, drunk settlers probably shouldn't have a multi-storey fall, so it made sense to me. So let's add some furniture. And for a 1x1 square, it's not a bad bar. Plenty of drinks available, a work and traffic light for ambience, and it even has a single table for socialising. Next up is a general store. Why is it on the third floor, you're asking? Well, to make any residents walk up multiple flights of stairs with shopping, of course. So let's kit it out. With some storage for food and a locker for other items, plus some well-preserved artwork on the walls, this shopping box doesn't look too bad. And of course, what giant town would be complete without a gun store? Popping shots from 20 stories would be some of the only fun here. A few weapons on display, a bounty hunting board if you want some spare caps to save up for a minigun. Not bad for your weapon needs, and with those shops, the happiness requirements should be attracting settlers into the place. With some money and people, our settlement brings trouble, so we need to step up security. Floor 5 is a security outpost, so let's get this stocked up with firepower. Turrets keep a watch on either side, a guard on constant lookout, and some home comforts to keep them comfortable. That should help keep the raiders away. If we're getting attacked, then the settlement will need a working clinic and a doctor, so floor 6 needs to be kitted out with some medical gear. A friendly ghoul doctor is surely hygienic, and his state-of-the-art clinic has everything. A single chair for procedures and acting as the waiting room, storage for all of the medicine that's definitely within its expiry date, and of course a sign for those too stupid to know what room they're in. Now, what's a settlement without somewhere for the settlers to sleep? Well, I don't know, but I thought I should get some bedrooms installed. I'll need 6 in total to house everyone who'll be working here, so sit back while I do some interior decorating. Why don't we do a quick tour? First up, this relaxing room with a bunk bed dangerously close to the ceiling fan. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, but if you want to keep your head, there is a couch to sleep on. Next up is the double single. While you get a stained mattress with no bedding, you do get some fun decor and a basketball hoop. Even more fun to play while your roommate is trying to sleep. Next up is this splendid bedroom featuring a comfy double bed and plenty of art to enjoy. But the dangerous chemicals in the corner do look a bit too much like food, so be careful what you ingest of an evening. There's the Nuka-Cola room, expertly named because of, well, the Nuka-Cola decorations. The Art Deco room, again featuring a space-saving bunk bed, some tacky lighting, and an even worse couch, but the storage makes up for the horrendous furniture. And finally, well, I have no idea what this room is. I'll be honest, I wanted to go to bed, so threw some art on the wall, added some chairs to make a reading corner. I mean, it's the reading room, ignore all of that. And I can now say I should have enough beds for all of our potential settlers. Floor 13 seemed like a good place for more security, so I'll be back once it's done. This is more of a lookout point because of the height advantage. It does offer some great views, but I've added even more turrets for protection, and some storage for ammo and enemy movement notes seemed like a good idea. And defence could be ticked off the list. We're now onto the infrastructure of this tower, and we desperately need power, so more generator rooms are needed. It's fairly basic, but we now should have enough power to run what we need, and there's a few tools and supplies to keep things going. Now we need some water, and I admit this had me scratching my head as nothing seemed to be placeable outside of physical water, until I found the water pump, which just so happens could be placed in dirt. And thanks to a handy item called a farm plot, I have some portable dirt, which just so happens to fit perfectly within the tile. And with some spinning of the pump until I found the green sweet spot, I now have water. And with 2 floors of these pumps awkwardly placed, I can now provide drinking water for everyone. Just ignore the lack of plumbing and the angle of some of these. It just works. Now the final piece of the puzzle. Food. Using the same farm plots, I can plant all the way up on the top floors. And I have a nice stockpile from the kind folks at the farm. So with all of those planted getting plenty of sunlight, our brave settlers farming high up in the sky, I can now safely say there's no more requirements to fix. We have a fully functional settlement. Well, until the farmers fall, that is. But don't worry, that won't happen. So, the answer to the question nobody had ever asked is, yes, you can build a Fallout 4 settlement using just one tile. It works surprisingly well if you get creative with the space, but I wouldn't recommend if you have vertigo or enjoy your sanity.